Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in yet again. Today we're going to be taking a look at another offering from Kizer Knives, and the model number on this particular one is the Ki401T. So this is actually the third Kizer review that I'm doing. I've done two previous Kizer reviews and both were pass-around models. One was a Gingrich design and the other was a Klecker design. And just right off the bat, I've been impressed with Kizer's knives from the ones that I've handled, both in the pass rounds and then down at like Blade HQ and so forth. But they didn't really have anything that kind of spoke to my particular taste just yet. And then I came across this model and I eyed it for a little while and then finally decided to pick one up. So this is how this review differs from the other two. This is one that I bought and the other two were simply pass rounds. But anyways, so let's get into it. Normal format. First we'll jump into the specs, overall impressions, and then I will get into the nitty-gritty. So just real quickly, that's what it ships with. Now I did, right off the bat, I mean obviously you can see that this has a really cool, I don't know how they did this finish. Obviously it's tie and it uses a combination possibly of electric anodizing and then potentially heat coloring. But I went ahead and Windex the show side here just to show you kind of what it looks like at its full brightness and glory. And then the lock side I did not Windex, so this is what it'll look like, you know, when you've got your oils all over it and it's not kind of at its full sheen. So I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up, but just wanted to show you guys the difference before I started touching this thing too much here. So anyhow. It is the titanium frame lock flipper. It does use phosphor bronze washers, S35 VN blade steel, titanium handles that have been a combination of sculpted plus CNC'd and plus this really cool coloration. So it is a Tonto recurve. The overall blade, or the overall length is about 8.3 inches. Blade length is about 3 3/4. And then the blade material again was S35 VN. It does use a combination of a really deep hollow grind here and then a flat grind for the tip with a swedge up here. And it has thumb studs and a flipper, so it works well with both methods. The pocket clip is going to be tip up, tip down for right-handed users only. It is made in China. The weight comes in at 5.7 ounces on my scale. And then the thickness in this direction at its widest portion is about 0.52 inches thick, and the width at its widest part, which I believe is right here, is about 1.5 inches. So quickly, overall impressions, in kind of in the sub $200 range, I think Kizer really is dominating the market right now, and this is another great offering from them. I think it offers something that you don't really find in this range, and that is, I think the one is the attention to detail, excellent fit and finish, and then the, you know, obviously the colors, the really cool anodizing plus heat flaming potentially. I'd assume that's how it's done, but I don't know for sure. But, you know, this is a knife that amongst all of my really, really nice knives, this is the one that my wife liked the most. So, you know, I think it'll appeal to people who aren't necessarily knife people, but can appreciate kind of the color and the intricacies of that pattern. So flipping action is it's fairly good. Again, it's on phosphor bronze washers, but anyhow, it's a really solid offering. Blade HQ had this one for like $140 something, so excellent value. I think this time they might have had the best price around. So anyways, we're in February of 2015. That may or may not be true in the future. So again, really solid offering, excellent fit and finish. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So now let's get into the specifics on the knife here. So as I mentioned, this is the first Kizer that I bought because it had, it's closer to what I like. Again, Kizer's been fairly smart. Thus far, they have collaborated with American makers, and you know, maybe Gingrich and Klecker aren't the best known American makers, but they're making an effort to kind of break into the industry by using, you know, again, makers that are based here in the States, trying to help hopefully people kind of overcome and see that it's not, you know, it's not a company that produces low quality things or doesn't work with the best. So hopefully that makes sense. But anyways, this was a little bit more in the vein of what I'm interested in. Flipper, I did go with the Tonto recurve grind here because it is a, you know, I wanted to see how well they executed their blades kind of in a more complex grind here with this compound grind. And then, you know, the handles looked cool too, and I wanted to try one of their flippers on washers. So when I got this one, they did have a few on bearings, but they weren't really my cup of tea stylistically. They had a lot of really heavy Asian influence, and it was just a little too much for my particular taste. So again, this was a step closer to what I liked, and since I got this one, they did come out with the with another excellent offering with an American maker, and that is with Matt Kuchara, and I did pick up the Dorado Scully. When this one, so the first ones I reviewed were really good. This one was more of what I like, and then this one is definitely what I like. So we're kind of going in that gradation there, but review on this one's coming soon. All right, so again, went with the more complex grind to see how well they would do, and honestly, it's ground really well. It's very symmetrical, has a really nice deep hollow grind here, comes down to a very very thin edge, so great for slicing, quite sharp. This one's shaving sharp, and then the flat tip is, you know, it can get a lot of tasks done without worrying about breaking your tip off. So, you know, it's a good looking blade. The swedge certainly adds a lot to it. And then you have the flipper tab, which kind of functions with the, you know, creating an interesting blade shape. I mean, it kind of adds to it a little bit. So the markings, simply the model number there, and then the Kizer logo there, and S35VN blade steel. So again, you know, even some of the more premium production companies have not done as well on their blade grinds as this one. They do have a proprietary pivot. They do not offer a pivot tool, but I have not needed to adjust this in the slightest. Taking the knife apart, I believe, does void the warranty, so that is a consideration. But, you know, I do like custom pivots. I think it looks really good, even if it would be difficult to service without a specific tool. But thankfully this one, they probably Loctited it, so I haven't needed to do any adjustments despite the insane amount of flipping that I've done to really try to break this in and see how smooth it can get. So while we're on that subject, it will shake down into the handle. Flipping action, it's pretty good. I mean, obviously it's not a ball bearing system, but with a thumb stud you get a really solid deployment. With the flipper tab, it works just fine, you know. The Dorado collaboration with Matt Kuchar that I just showed you, that one does use ceramic ball bearings, so obviously it does flip harder and better. But you know, this isn't anything to scoff at. I mean, if this is your first kind of foray into flippers, you will not be disappointed by any means. So anyway, so cool custom pivot, even if it's not very serviceable. And then we get into just this awesome handle here, handle scales. So it's, again, I'm not quite sure how they achieve that. You can see kind of the CNC marks, which are cool. This knife has an amazing texture in the hand. The kind of the carving here in combination with those really really small CNC marks in combination with the sculpting that they did, it creates just a really kind of premium feel to it. It's I don't know if I can explain it very well, but it's different than just your smooth titanium. It's different than just your carved handles. It just has a really nice tactile feel to the knife. No sharp edges. Everything's been nicely smoothed. And ergonomically, it works well in the hand. You do have some jimping up here on top. Offers medium to low traction, but the ergonomics of the handle shape lock it in to your handle fairly well, plus the carvings or the sculpting here on the titanium, that always helps to offer a little bit of grip as well. So the edges, kind of the base layer, have been given this beautiful rich blue, and this would likely be an electric anodizing, and it's the same on the pocket clip and then the lock bar here, and then it continues on to the edges here. So it's a really, really deep, really beautiful blue color. And then my assumption is they came back with maybe a heat gun or a torch or something and did the rest of this, but I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, hardware is this nice Torx. These are really high quality screws. I've never had any of these strip and adjustment, and I haven't needed to adjust any of them, but just messing around with it just to check them. They do seem to be hardened, so. Anyways, pocket clip, it's titanium as well, and obviously it's been given that beautiful blue rich color. It does have a pocket in titanium, so you only need one screw for contact, but looks really good. It doesn't protrude enough to hinder my hand or cause any discomfort, although if you have smaller hands, potentially. Again, I do have extra large hands, but the size is fantastic, so just good ergonomics all the way around. Now, one thing that I will mention is that all of the Kizer models that I've had, the 2 pass rounds plus the 2 that I have now, they've all used titanium lock bars that have not been carbidized, nor do they have a stainless steel lock insert. But one thing that Kizer does exceptionally well is their titanium lock bars. They really have it dialed in, so I've never had any stick on any of the Kizers I've handled. Lockup is tremendously solid, really easy to disengage. It's a comfortable lock bar, so that's something that Kizer has been extremely consistent with, and one of the things that has certainly impressed me the most was just how well they do their titanium lock bars, because I've had knives that are in vastly different price ranges that that can't do as well on their lock bars as Kizer does. You know, they require a break-in period, or they required graphite, or they continue to stick, but Kizer has done an excellent job, and I'm really impressed with that. So you do have these standoffs, these barrel standoffs that are kind of a nice polished coloration, matches perfectly with the hardware on the knife. So, you know, just a great attention to detail. Sorry for the fingerprints. A beautiful overall package here. But again, kind of in the sub $200 range, you can't go wrong with anything from Kizer. And I'm really excited about, you know, kind of more to come from them. I think that they just do a really good job, and I like the value that they offer. So anyhow, let's check that flipping action one more time. Let's do a light switch. So you can, push down method seems to work the best. You can get a nice solid deployment. Thumb studs are even faster though. So, and then again, no stick whatsoever. As hard as I flick it, let's try really hard. It's a little wrist action there. Nothing. So anyways, just yeah, again, I've always been impressed. Now let's talk about the limitations in the design. Really my only complaint, other than the fact that it's not on ball bearings, which would make it much, much better, just because I like their ceramic ball bearings on the Dorado that I showed you. But this flipper tab, the shape is interesting. It's not my favorite. I do prefer kind of the forward cant and the ones that are a little bit shorter, as seen on, well, a number of different knives, but like my ZT-801, for example. But what they did is it's kind of got this weird shape to it, and then they put jimping there. The problem is you can't get to the jimping. I mean, if you want to get to the jimping on that flipper tab, you have to go like this, and you can't do that from a normal hand position. Here we go. I'm touching the jimping, and my nail caught on the knife. So the jimping is completely useless in the way that it's executed here because of the shape of the flipper tab. So the flipper tab, I mean, it works fairly well, but it's not my favorite flipper tab shape, and the jimping is inaccessible there. Now that jimping there, what it does do is if you're up on the knife really hard, you can feel the jimping in your finger right there. You can see that. You can see the jimping. So if you were to, you know, really white knuckle this thing and maybe stab into something, it is, I mean, you're gonna feel it on your finger. I mean, if you're in a self-defense roll, then it doesn't matter, but if you're just sitting there stabbing boxes or something, that might become uncomfortable fairly quick. So again, that's just a limitation in the flipper tab design and the fact that they put jimping on it in that spot. It probably would have been better without any jimping whatsoever, or they reprofiled the flipper tab. So anyhow, But other than that, again, it's a really solid offering, and at the price point, I don't think that's a make or break for it. So anyways, hopefully this was an enjoyable or useful review for you. But again, keep your eyes on Kizer. I do have this review coming up soon, which is the Dorado, which is, again, excellent fit and finish, but they've done even more exceptional things thanks to working with such a talented designer. So anyways, I don't want to talk about that too much. This is not about the Dorado yet. But yeah, if you're interested, don't hesitate. Quality's great. They seem to be doing excellent work over there, and they're getting better and better all the time and offering more designs that I think appeal to the US market. So one last look at this Kizer Ki401T. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you're enjoying the videos, and take care.